All right, we're live. Okay, welcome to this week's NASP community question. And thank you for all the questions that are shared with us. It's fun to go through and pick. This week's question is, what do I do when I'm not motivated at work? So what do I do? I'm guessing here, but what do I do when maybe my product or service is not very inspiring, or I'm not inspired by it, or have a low level of belief in it, as Michelle and I were just talking about, or maybe your environment, your community, your colleagues, your management, something along those lines is not very inspiring. Not thrilled to get out of the car and walk across that parking lot into the office every morning. Sit down at the desk and start making calls. So we will ask Michelle, who's our Director of Global Sales Development, what her thoughts are on this. What do I do when I'm not motivated at work to help maybe inspire me or something else?
Well, thanks, Rick. I love this question. And as you were giving the description of the question, I actually had a thought about the movie, The Horrible Bosses. If you've ever seen that movie before, it's a spoof, and it's just a really comedic movie. And it's about these three guys who all have horrible bosses. So they really, really hate where they work. And having said that, everybody or most people have experienced at some point a disheartening disillusionment, so to speak, and what we do, right? If you're not completely 100% aligned to your why and what you're doing, you're going to become overwhelmed or frustrated or feel some doubt and not want to jump out of bed with a little pep in your step. So the first thing I always ask people is that go to your why. And there's this rule of 5 whys, and I'm not exactly even sure how that comes about, but it's the 5 whys. And so why am I selling what I'm selling? Why am I working here? Right? And then you pause and you go, why? So and once you get your answer, well, because it's a great job. Well, why is it a great job? Well, because so you just go down until you get to the core. And what you want to do is align that why with something that comes internally, not externally. So whenever I'm looking for an external motivation and inspiration, it won't last, right? I'm going to need to constantly look for another source. Like when people have the quote unquote muses, right? Once that muse is only going to take me so far. Now, when I'm internally motivated, when I've created my own why, that is an internal light. It's an eternal light that I can continue to stoke. And that generally comes when you have a clear vision of why you're doing what you're doing. And reading, one of the things that we do is we read our visions daily. And it reminds us, it's how I keep the flame of inspiration. The word inspiration is in, and spirit within that's how I stay motivated to do what I do. And I enjoy it and I get to see the results. So I show up already amped up, and then I am able to give of who I am, not looking externally for something outside of me, like my job, my work, my superiors, compliments. I'm not looking for someone external to me to give me something to inspire me, right? Motivation is external, inspiration comes from the internal. So again, I would say get clear on your why and be willing to should you find an misalignment of that why, to do whatever it takes to reignite it, right? And those are my thoughts, some of them. Rick,
Yeah.
your thoughts?
That's deep. Asking myself why until I find a deeper level of internal motivation, because there's always going to be one there, even if it's to keep things going for now, to support my family, to give my kids, make sure they're getting to school and having what they need to have. So I love that answer. It's going inside and saying, why is it important that I do perform and I do maintain this position? The first thing that came to mind for me was start looking to other places to work. And I think it's very good for your what's the word? It's almost good for the soul to understand that you're valuable in in many places.
Mhm.
You can go to multiple different places and offer your skill set, your value, and be wanted. And once you know that there is an abundance of opportunities out there for you, you are maybe less like clinging on to what you currently have.
Yes.
And you can kind of, I don't know how to describe it. There's almost like an emotional release of attachment. And sometimes even just that alone, I know for me in the long time ago past, and for others who I've talked to, is just helpful to understand. Like you don't need this job, and you don't have to just obey every last order of sometimes aggressive bosses because you have other options. So even just knowing that you have other options can sometimes change your mindset and go from that scarcity of I need this to, you know what, if this doesn't work out, it's okay, because I know I've talked to a number of different people around the city and there are other opportunities out there for me. And then this is just another. Networking is great for finding opportunities in sales. Networking is also great for finding other companies that are looking for salespeople or jobs or opportunities. So that's what comes to mind for me. If you're not inspired, go and look for some other environments that are inspiring. Maybe your leader, manager, supervisor, owner of the company isn't the type of leader who's inspiring to you. Maybe he isn't, or he or she or is inspiring to others. But maybe there's another leader out there who is inspiring to you, and you would find a lot more fulfillment in performing under that leader. So those are the thoughts that come to mind for me. Any final ideas before we wrap up for today, Michelle?
So I love that we're coming, because I'm like coming from the inside, and Rick is like, go and see your value in another opportunity. And I agree with that. And I also would say that just from my personal experience, I know that I did a little job hopping. And what I found was once I decided that I was valuable, that I would be valuable no matter where I was. And when I'm challenged to be motivated, I know that it's because I'm looking outside of myself to get something that I already have inside. So I challenge myself to be valuable right where I am. And then what almost always happens is opportunity then is handed to me, right? I attract it because it's forced me to up level my internal inspiration, how I see and perceive value. And then I'm able to not, like Rick said, be tied to beholden to, oh, this job is everything. The job is not everything. You're everything. If you're watching this, you're the sauce, you're the secret sauce, right? And understanding your worth and value will give you so much more internal inspiration.
That's deep. Be more valuable where you're at, and allow people to recognize that value, and allow that value to open up more doors, opportunities, inspiration, whether it's within the company or in something that's separate from the company or whatever it might be. I love answering these questions with Michelle because we get so we're not out here saying the same thing basically, which is
it's fun.
Definitely a learning experience for me, and hopefully all of you, the viewers, and Michelle. Yes. So thank you for tuning in today. As always, highly recommend you take the Seller Style Assessment in the link above.
Yes.
15 minutes to freedom. That just came off the top of my mind, but you could think of it as 15 minutes to freedom in terms of you're finding your next you're finding your next area of sales and influence growth. And the higher level influencer you are, the more freedom you're able to create in your life. And also join the association at the link above for our complimentary membership. Thank you for tuning in today, and we look forward to talking with you next week.
Bye, everyone.